Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. And if you're a true General Hospital fan, be sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Now, let's get started with today's video. General Hospital, GH, teasers suggest that Willow Kane's, Caitlin McMullen, problems are far from over. Willow has done everything she can to protect the life she has established for herself, but it could be jeopardized if she suffers a big setback during Jen Sidwell's, Carlo Rhoda, trial. According to GH Summer Preview spoilers, Willow will continue to bear the consequences of her former relationship with Sidwell. That relationship is going to haunt Willow, and she will be held accountable in some way. Since we know Sidwell's trial is approaching, what if Willow is subjected to a dreadful exposure during it? Willow was up to her eyeballs in Sidwell drama since she agreed to his fake stroke plan and relied on his paralytic doses to keep Drew Kane, Cameron Matheson, drugged. Willow certainly wants to keep the news hidden, but there's no assurance she'll be able to do so indefinitely. That is more true now that Drew has regained his ability to talk and could potentially spill everything he knows. Of course, there is some lake disturbance to begin with. Drew is bound to wind up in the sea in a fight for his life, so we'll see if this causes any recuperation difficulties. Willow may finally receive the power she needs from Jack Brennan, Chris McKenna, after he bargains with Valentine Cassadine, James Patrick Stewart, but it may not be enough to keep Drew silent in the end. After all, Drew's misappropriated financial scandal pales in comparison to Willow's involvement in other criminal activities. Drew could probably pretend to bow to Willow's blackmail while covertly negotiating an immunity agreement behind her back. Ezra Boyle, Daniel Cosgrove, got one for turning on Sidwell, so why not Drew? Drew may easily become a star witness in Sidwell's trial, depending on how things play out. That would be an excellent time for Drew to spill the beans and completely disrupt Willow's life. Willow may be caught off guard and scared that she may lose everything that she values most. This might jeopardize Congresswoman Kane's career, while Michael Corinthos, Rory Gibson, inherits the children and Willow risks prison time. According to General Hospital teasers, several Willow-related Sidwell shockers may be revealed in court, so stay tuned. In Port Charles's crowded courthouse, tension hung thick in the air like the oppressive summer fog drifting off the harbor. The trial of Jen Sidwell, the enigmatic multinational businessman turned suspected criminal mastermind, had held the town's attention for weeks. Sidwell, accused of everything from money laundering to arranging murky operations that threatened the very fabric of the town, sat at the defense table with unsettling serenity, his sharp eyes searching the crowd as if he still owned all the cards. However, today's focus was not exclusively on him. It fell on Willow Tate, now Willow Kane, the once innocent nurse whose life had devolved into a tangle of secrets, deceit, and forbidden alliances. Willow shifted uncomfortably in her seat on the witness stand, her hands clenched tightly in her lap to conceal their tremor. She had been invited to testify about her encounters with Sidwell, which had begun innocently but had escalated into something considerably more deadly. Dressed in a modest blue shirt and pencil skirt that shouted, "Respectable mother," she avoided eye contact with the man who had upended her world. Drew Kane, Willow's husband, sat in the gallery, his jaw set in determination, despite the fact that the fissures in their marriage were growing by the second. Michael Corinthos, her ex and the father of her children, watched from across the room, concerned and suspicious. The stakes could hardly be higher. Willow's thoughts raced back to the beginning as the prosecution, a sharp-tongued woman named Diane Miller, approached the stand. Sidwell had originally caught her attention during a turbulent era in Port Charles. Willow, struggling with her duty as a mother to Wiley and Amelia while dealing with the fallout from her turbulent marriages, sought stability. But Sidwell, with his affable attitude and offers of help in the form of prominent connections, saw an opening. He was aware of her vulnerabilities, her residual ties to the Quartermain family, her nursing career at General Hospital, and most dangerously, her confusing relationship with Drew. "Miss Kane," Diane asked, her voice piercing through the murmuring, "can you describe your relationship with the defendant, Jen Sidwell?" Willow swallowed hard, her throat dry. We met through mutual acquaintances. He offered assistance during a difficult time for my family. The courtroom became silent as Diane continued, displaying documents and emails that portrayed a picture Willow fiercely tried to hide. Sidwell had initially blackmailed her quietly, using information about a cover-up involving Drew's political ambitions and a paralytic drug event that nearly claimed lives. Willow had been lured into Sidwell's orbit not just out of fear, but also out of a warped sense of necessity, to protect her children, to save her reputation as a dedicated wife and mother. Willow's mind was inundated with flashbacks as the inquiries became more intense. She recalled the late-night meetings in dimly lit cafes on the outskirts of town, where Sidwell's polished accent concealed threats that chilled her to the bone. "You have a secret, my dear Willow," he had said quietly, his eyes shining. "One that could shatter everything you've built. Drew's little indiscretions, the accidents that weren't quite accidents, cooperate, and it stays between us." She had agreed, believing she could play both sides, keep her family safe while feeding Sidwell just enough to keep him at distance. But now, on the stand, the house of cards was toppling. The horrible exposure began when her defense counsel, Scott Baldwin, a skilled operator, cross-examined her. Instead of defending Sidwell directly, he focused on Willow's credibility. "Isn't it true, Miss Kane, that your involvement with my client went beyond mere assistance? That you actively participated in schemes to undermine certain individuals in Port Charles?" Willow's face paled. She cast a frantic look toward Drew, but his gaze had hardened into betrayal. The prosecutor objected, but the judge permitted a restricted line of questions. Suddenly, proof was presented, recordings, financial trails, and even witness testimony from medical staff who had observed Willow in uncomfortable situations. The courtroom gasped as details emerged, including Willow's role in administering or concealing the use of a paralytic agent linked to Sidwell's operations, her knowledge of plots against rivals such as Sonny Corinthos, and the most damning, a romantic or at least deeply intimate alliance with Sidwell that blurred the lines between coercion and consent. Whispers spread across the gallery. "She was working with him," someone whispered. Michael jumped up abruptly, his face a mask of rage and sadness. Willow's mother, Nina Reeves, buried her face in her hands, the irony not missed on anyone. Mother and daughter were both embroiled in scandals that shattered their family. Carly Spencer watched with a mix of sympathy and satisfaction, having warned everyone of Willow's volatility. The exposure grew deeper as additional layers were pulled back. Willow's past as a teacher-turned-nurse, her time with Shiloh's Dawn of Day cult, and her marriages to Chase and Michael were all recontextualized in the harsh light of perjury and culpability. Sidwell smirked slightly from his seat, knowing that dragging Willow down might result in leniency or turmoil. He'd planned it. His horrific exposure to her was his insurance policy. Willow burst into tears on the stand. "I didn't have a choice. He threatened my children, my life." However, the harm had been done. The prosecutor made it clear that Willow was more than just a witness. She may also be an accomplice. The calls for her own charges resounded. Drew stormed out, unable to confront the lady he had championed. Later, in the corridor outside, he confronted her in a passionate exchange that would reverberate through Port Charles for months. "How could you, Willow? After everything we've been through? The kids, our future?" Drew's voice trembled with wrath and sadness. Willow collapsed against the wall and sobbed. "I thought I was protecting us. Sidwell knew about the accident, about what really happened with you and the campaign. He promised it would stay buried if I helped him navigate the local players." Back inside, the trial resumed with shocking testimony. Sidwell's own words, played from secret recordings, showed his manipulation. "Willow is my key to this town. Her purity is the perfect cover." The horror of it all, how a woman who had overcome so much adversity had been reduced to this, left the population in shock. Fans of the soap would subsequently dispute whether this represented Willow's villain storyline or her tragic fall from grace. Willow's world continued to shatter as the day progressed. Social services hinted at an investigation regarding her parenting abilities. Her career at GH was jeopardized as colleagues Elizabeth Baldwin and Portia Robinson distanced themselves. Even her biological ties to Nina couldn't keep her safe from the wrath. Nina attempted to console her daughter privately at the courthouse. "We Quartermaines survive scandals, honey. But this, you need to come clean completely." Willow shook her head. "It's too late, Mom. The exposure, it's horrific. Everyone sees me as a monster now." The trial ended for the day, but the narrative wasn't over. Sidwell was carried away in handcuffs, but his final glance at Willow promised more revelations. Rumors circulated that Ferncliff Psychiatric Facility could be the next stop if charges were filed, Willow's mental state cracking under the strain. In the days that followed, Port Charles was buzzing with the aftermath. Michael sought emergency custody of the children, citing Willow's instability. Chase, her ex-husband, gave a shoulder but could not conceal his disappointment. Jason Morgan, ever the enigmatic figure, dug deeper into Sidwell's network, revealing connections that implicated other players. Willow, isolated in her home, glanced at old images of happier times, holding Wiley as a newborn, marrying Chase in a fantasy ceremony, and starting a family with Drew. The unfolding drama featured flashback sequences that revealed Willow's internal conflict. She had excellent intentions when she started. She wanted to protect her family from external threats and use her nursing abilities for the greater good. But Sidwell's influence was like a gradual poison, undermining her morals with each surrender. The paralytic episode, in which a rival became immobilized during a crucial negotiation, weighed the most heavily. Willow had supplied the medicine under duress, convincing herself that it was non-lethal and only temporary. Now there was proof of attempted murder. The courtroom exposure was more than just facts, it was emotional agony. Friends looked away, and murmurs followed her through the streets. "That's the woman who slept with the devil for power," they remarked. Her horrific secret, the intensity of her involvement, which included periods of genuine attraction coupled with terror, portrayed her as both victim and offender. Drew, however, struggled with his own job. Had his political rise pushed Willow into Sidwell's arms? Their marriage, once a symbol of second chances, was now in shambles. Drew sought the complete truth during a heated argument at the lake house. Willow revealed everything: late calls, hidden payments, and the fear that overwhelmed her. "I loved you, Drew." But love wasn't enough against his threats. As Sidwell's trial resumed, new witnesses emerged, former associates who recounted Willow's involvement in smuggling material out of GH, leveraging patient data for Sidwell's plans. As emotions ran high, the judge issued a contempt warning. Michael testified against her indirectly, portraying a picture of a transformed lady. "The Willow I knew would never do this." The finale led to a verdict that might either release or bury Sidwell, but Willow's fate was entwined. In a desperate attempt, she took the stand again for rebuttal, her voice breaking as she described the coercion. "He owned me. The exposure today, it's nothing compared to the hell I've lived." The audience was captivated. This was more than simply a trial. It was a soap opera drama of treachery, repentance, and disaster. Speculation erupted. Would Willow go to prison? Enter Ferncliff for a breakdown. Or rise like a phoenix with a surprising twist? Weeks became a haze. Sidwell was convicted on lower charges after his lawyers spun the story that Willow was a willing participant. He obtained a sentence that allowed for appeals, vowing from behind bars to reveal more. Willow faced charges but was given bail under home arrest, with her children temporarily staying with Michael. Willow reflected in quiet moments on her journey from abandoned child to nurse, mother, and now outcast. The horrible exposure of Sidwell's trial left her naked, forcing a reckoning. Can she rebuild? Seek therapy? Heal fences with Drew? Or fight for her children? Port Charles, ever resilient, went forward, but the scars remained. Carly planned her next action against the lingering threats. Sunny strengthened alliances. And Willow? She sat by the window one evening, watching the harbor lights, whispering to herself, "This isn't the end. I have to fight." Willow's fall became a town legend, a cautionary tale of how even the most pure hearts may be perverted when confronted by monsters like Sidwell. As new episodes aired, people tuned in to see if redemption was possible or if this was the start of Willow's darker chapter. The trial revealed horrors, but it also laid the groundwork for dramatic comebacks, alliances, and possibly even vengeance. The walls of the Port Charles courthouse had witnessed numerous frightening events over the years, but nothing could have prepared the audience for the tremendous drama surrounding Jen Sidwell's highly anticipated trial. Reporters gathered the stairs outside, anxious to learn every detail about the criminal case that had sparked the city's interest. Inside, familiar faces gathered, each with their own secrets, worries, and personal stake in the outcome. Anna Devane remained resolved to see justice done. Despite the various challenges and deadly turns that had hampered the inquiry, she was convinced that Sidwell's reign of deception and intimidation had to end. Sonny Corinthos kept a close eye on events, knowing that Sidwell's influence had spread to unexpected places. However, it was not Sidwell who would be the focus of attention. Instead, all eyes would finally focus on Willow Corinthos. Willow appeared in the courts, looking apprehensive but composed. The past few months had taken an emotional toll on her. Her mixed feelings for Drew, the ongoing custody battle over her children, and the tension within her family had left her weary. Nonetheless, she felt the trial had little to do with her personally. She could not have been more wrong. Nina Reeves spotted Willow's worried demeanor right away. Despite their turbulent relationship, Nina remained concerned for her daughter. Their relationship had improved in certain areas, but trust was still weak. "You don't have to stay if this is too much," Nina quietly advised. Willow forced a slight smile. "I'm fine. All I want is for this to be over." Carly Spencer, standing nearby, kept a close eye on the discussion. She remained wary of Willow's intentions and was especially concerned about Drew's growing influence over her. Carly had frequently warned Michael that Willow was growing more susceptible to manipulation. Michael himself appeared conflicted. He still cared passionately about Willow, but their emotional wounds had not healed. Their separation had created distance, but there was still a lingering link that neither of them could deny. As the trial began, the prosecution presented its case against Sidwell, citing claims of corruption, blackmail, and other criminal activity. Witnesses were called one by one, with each testimony adding another layer to the intricate web of deception. Then came the unexpected turn. A mystery witness was led into the courtroom. Whispers quickly swept among the audience. Even Anna seemed astonished. However, Sidwell seems almost amused. The witness claimed to have proof linking numerous Port Charles residents to conduct that might fundamentally affect the perspective of key players in the case. While some of the information appeared to be loosely related to Sidwell's crimes, the defense grabbed the chance to sow doubt and turmoil. Suddenly, Willow's name was spoken. The room went silent. Willow's face immediately became pale. Michael looked at her, puzzled. Nina appeared horrified. "What does Willow have to do with this?" Carly asked under her breath. The witness began to provide evidence that indicated Willow had been participating in covert meetings and contacts, raising major concerns about her judgment and honesty. Although the accusations did not necessarily imply a legal action, they threatened to reveal highly intimate information that Willow had desperately tried to conceal. One bombshell followed another, sending shockwaves across the courtroom. References to Drew. Questions concerning motivations. Willow may have concealed facts from her family. The stress became excruciating. Willow could feel everyone's gaze on her. Her respiration increased. Her mind was inundated with memories of every mistake, private talk, and agonizing decision. She had worked so hard to move on, to rebuild her life, but now everything was about to fall in front of the entire city. Michael seemed devastated. "Is any of this true?" he gently inquired. Willow could hardly talk. Nina stepped forward, protectively. "This is irrelevant to the trial." But the damage had already been done. The media representatives in attendance were busily scribbling notes. By dusk, headlines would definitely dominate all local media outlets. Willow's inner difficulties were becoming a public spectacle. Drew, who had been absent throughout the initial hearing, returned just in time to see the aftermath. He quickly sensed something dreadful had occurred. "What did they say?" he inquired. Carly gave him a furious look. Drew's eyes clouded. "You should know. Apparently, this somehow leads back to you." He had long feared that his relationship with Willow and the secrecy around it would lead to issues. However, he never expected such material would be revealed during Sidwell's trial. Anna rapidly tried to recover control of the situation. The court will focus on evidence directly related to the case at hand. However, Sidwell's attorney contended that the testimony revealed broader patterns of lying among many witnesses and associates. It was precisely the type of diversion Sidwell sought. Even from the defense table, Sidwell appeared oddly content. He relished seeing the carnage unfold. He relished watching families ripped apart. And Willow had become his next victim. Outside the courtroom, tensions flared. Michael confronted Willow. "I need to know the truth." His voice was filled with rage and grief. Willow's eyes flooded with tears. "I never meant for any of this to happen." "That's not an answer." Nina tried to interject, but Michael wasn't interested in excuses. For months, he had battled to comprehend Willow's decisions. He had attempted to think that, despite the turmoil, there was still honesty between them. He wasn't as sure anymore. Carly remained by her son's side. She had frequently warned him. She felt that secrets and manipulation would finally destroy any hope of reconciliation. Carly's anxieties were heightened as she watched Willow fall in front of the media. Meanwhile, Drew felt increasingly trapped. He realized that if further information came out, the situation may deteriorate even further. Relationships would shatter. Alliances would alter. Reputations may never recover.